Hello, everyone. Welcome to NB Geeks Let's Talk 10 Forward. I know it's been a spell since we've had a live stream about the history of movies. Sorry, unfortunately, life kind of gets in the way of things, and unfortunately, we have to respect that. But hey, it's been a few weeks. We're back. We're going to knock this one out of the park, I think. And we're going to start off with the woman. She's strong. She's opinionated. She lives in the New England area, but we won't hold that against her. She has got style. She has got knowledge. She is what we call in the geek community a strong woman, Alicia A.V.P.
Hey, everybody.
And also her boyfriend, the man who makes Twitter trolls cry and mops the floors with their tears, Jack Beers!
Hello. Hello.
Hey, G-Sounds is see here, buddy. I'm still trying to figure out how to work your intro. Kind of playing with it a little bit.
That's
so
fine.
I can find the right one.
That's fine.
Okay, so I know it's been a few weeks. We all had things we had to take care of. But the history of movies. All right, Alicia, where do you want to start?
Okay, so we've got several movies to go through. Jack has got 3 from the 1939, and I've got about 4 of my own. Mine are actually from the 40s, the 50s, and a couple from the 60s. I think I'll let Jack go first. That way we can go in chronological order.
Okay, fair enough. Go for it, Jack. Hey,
Okay.
Your girlfriend said so you got to do what the woman likes.
Of course. But yeah, so there's 3 movies that came out in 1939 that are just classic all the way through. One is The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yep.
And the third one is Gone with the Wind. So I'll start off with the Wizard of Oz. It first started off as a series of books by a guy named L. Frank Baum. And the first book in the series was called The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and it was published in 1900. And so fast forward to 1937, Walt Disney puts out Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and suddenly MGM realizes, hey, we can do fantasy. It'll be successful. And so they buy the rights to the Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1938. And so like the following year, they filmed and released it. It was mostly directed by Victor Fleming, but he ended up leaving to take over Gone with the Wind. And a guy named King Vidor, he's not a king, that's just his name, took over. And so because this was going to be Technicolor, like suddenly they had to figure out what colors everything's going to be, and it took them a week to figure out the right shade of yellow that they were going to use for the Yellow Brick Road.
I want to bring back to something we talked about a little while back, a few weeks ago. Alicia,
Yes.
Remember what you said about how they did that black and white to color?
Yes.
Yeah, let's Jack, we'll let it go back to you, but I want everyone to remember. I want Alicia, because I remember she told us this a few weeks. I want you to write, how did they do that transition?
Okay, so they would shoot it in 3 different ways. They shoot it in blue or cyanan, and then they would shoot it again in red, and then they would shoot it again in yellow. They would shoot it 3 different ways, and then they would finally merge the 3 into making a solid colors.
Technicolor.
Yeah, Technicolor.
Just
but
like
I mean,
this.
Yeah, exactly, like the way you said. Okay, go right back, buddy. Sorry. I remember Alicia putting that up, and it's kind of an important thing, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. All right. So the original. So there's a lot of problems on the set. For one thing, because of all the lighting, everything had to be brightly lit. It made the set really hot. It was like 100 degrees on the set. And on top of that, like the actors, especially the one who played the Cowardly Lion, who was wearing an actual like lion hide, and it was about 100 pounds. So you can imagine that he was not having a good time.
Yeah, Burt Lair.
Whoa, wait! You're telling me
Lair.
that whole thing weighed like 100 pounds?
Yes,
Just about, yeah.
Oh my goodness!
And he had to do that in like 100-degree temperature heat.
Now this was, I'm assuming, in studio with all the lighting, right?
Yes,
Artificial
yes.
lighting. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's why, because it was so hot. The original actor who played the Tin Man, his name was Ebsen. He actually had an allergic reaction to the aluminum powder makeup, and so he was hospitalized. And he was hospitalized in critical. In fact, it started to coat his lungs, so he was having problems breathing. So he had to be hospitalized in like critical condition.
I remember hearing.
So he ended up.
Or sorry.
Yeah. So he left the project. Yeah, he left the project, and he was replaced by a guy named Jack Haley. And Jack Haley was actually on loan from Fox. He's normally with them. So the transition.
Hold on a second. Let's remember back then, around this time frame, when you were an actor, you were contracted to a certain theater. It wasn't, the kind of free agent thing that we see now, where you can go bounce around from different studio, theater. You are contracted to exactly. So remember, like I said, when we say somebody is on loan, that means
there was an agreement between the studios.
Exactly, because they were contracted to that studio for however many pictures.
Right.
Yeah. So like, and then also with the Wicked, I can't remember her, Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch.
Yes.
She had problem with her aluminum powdered makeup. It was actually tinting her skin green. The longer it was on, and then she also had a really bad accident too. So the scenes where the Wicked Witch appears and disappears in Oz, there's supposed to be an elevator that's hidden that would it would lower her, and it would also produce smoke and fire, right? So when so it looks like she disappears, and in one of the takes, she was exiting Munchkinland, and the fire came too soon, and she suffered burns to her face and hands, and before she could even be treated, they had to remove all that makeup from her before they can treat her, and it took her about 3 months to recuperate.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
I want to say this real quick to Miss Watchtower. Sorry, I'm late. Hi, everyone. I'm going to take a quote from Lord of the Rings. A watchtower is never late nor early. It arrives exactly when it needs to.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi, Chloe.
I can get to that.
That's fine.
Wow, I did not. It's funny. All the stories I've heard, around the Wizard of Oz. I mean, other than the whole thing with the one original actor having the chemical reaction, this is stuff they've never talked about.
Right.
So please continue.
Yeah, and so afterwards, when she came back, there was a scene where she's supposed to fly a broomstick that billowed smoke, and she wouldn't do it because she was, she was scared. She didn't want to get hurt anymore. And so a stunt double did it, and that stunt double was injured when it malfunctioned. So she had the right call there. Yeah, so there was a bunch of people that got injured on set for various things. Toto got stepped on at one point. So
well, we have to remember the safety things. Maybe we should do that one time also, as how does safety improve over time in movies? Yeah, we should definitely do something like that one time.
Because there was no safety precautions going on here because the snow scene where they're getting snow, they're having snow.
Yeah,
it's asbestos.
That was asbestos.
Yes.
Yes, that snow was asbestos.
Yes.
On top of everything else.
All right, keep going. No, I did
So
not know that.
they did have this, one of my favorite parts of the movie is the transition between, the sepia and the black and the color. And the way they did that, because they didn't have that sort of way where they can like transition like that on film. So what they did was they actually painted the inside set sepia colors and had uh, a Dorothy double wearing like a sepia colored outfit. So the scene is she opens the door, backs away, you see like the color on the other side of the door, and then the actual actress would come out in her blue outfit, and there's a whole like one shot that they do. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly what when I asked Alicia to basically talk about the same thing a minute or so ago. Is
Yes.
it was very beautiful how they managed to pull that transition. I would actually like to know, and this we can maybe, what actually would be a really good history of film would be a good compare and contrast. The Wizard of Oz and the Secret Garden. And
Ah.
yeah,
Okay,
do you know where I'm going there?
I
Do you
think
guys
so.
know
Yeah,
Yeah, that they were both classic. They both deal with classic stories, classic literature,
they're
and
both
they had
black
a
and
time of
white and the
story.
color? Yeah,
Yeah, it was
I
magical
think
too.
exactly. I think those would be great. But yeah, like I said, we always have our most fun ideas when we're doing that. But so what did you guys think about how they did the Twister and even the Flying Monkeys? I mean, I thought you know
the way they did that was they had a I can't remember how they did it, but they
Okay, I remember that. I remember
yeah,
that.
okay, you take over.
Okay, so it was a small little model of like of a house and stuff like that, and basically they started filming it in slow motion, and then they slowly started picking up speed and stuff like that, and it basically as it picked up speed, then that they added in the effects with the tornado and stuff like that. And basically it was sort of like a vacuum cleaner kind of thing that they used to create the tornado effect kind of thing, and so that's how it was able to be projected on screen, that they basically zoomed in closely to do that kind of thing. The flying monkeys, if I remember correctly, was just basically actors in these costume kind of things, and some of their costumes didn't get used. According to this book, there's like a little costume thing that they didn't even use. There was like a cape kind of thing, like, yeah, right here there's this cape.
hold on
That,
a second. Let me see if I can let me blow you.
sure.
Let me blow you up real quick.
Hmm.
Okay.
So right there on the left is the cape that they were supposed to originally have in here. They didn't use it. So, like I said, the flying monkeys were just basically actors in these giant monkey costumes.
But I mean, like I said, we've talked about this many times. We have a vast amount of appreciation for what these folks were able to do with the technology they had, which in their minds was cutting edge. I mean, to take a movie to go from black and white to color would probably have been, I'd say, on par with going from silent to talkie. Uh,
Good point. So
uh, Eso Create. See y'all later. Have a good one, buddy. Thanks for stopping in.
Bye, Nick.
so we should move on to Mr. Smith
Yeah,
Goes
we
to
should.
Washington.
Oh,
Um,
Jimmy Stewart.
yes, it was originally an unpublished story. It was either called The Gentleman from Montana or The Gentleman from Wyoming. They couldn't figure out a title, and but it was bought by Columbia Pictures, and Jimmy Stewart, who was the main character, he was on loan from MGM. And if you remember the beginning of the movie, he's sitting there with a group of boys, basically the Boy Scouts, but the Boy Scouts of America didn't allow their name to be used in the film.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to make up a different name for them. They also weren't allowed to film in the actual Senate chamber. So they actually recreated the entire Senate chamber on the Columbia lot. And because it showed like U.S. politicians acting like corrupt, of course, U.S. politicians, when it came out, U.S. politicians didn't like it because it made them look bad. They called it an anti-American, pro-communist. Even Joseph P. Kennedy tried to stop the film from being released in Europe.
No. Oh no!
The father of John F. Kennedy. But ultimately, it was obviously a success. It cost about $1.5 million to make, and it made about $9 million. Which that's pretty successful. It was nominated for 11 Oscars, and it won for best writing and original story for Lewis R. Foster. So, one of my favorite parts of that movie, of course, is the speech.
Oh yes.
That he does, where the filibuster, where he just sits there and he keeps talking, and then eventually he just faints because yeah, and of course, it was such a passionate speech that it changed all the senators' minds and stuff like that. So, I mean, I thought it was one of those things that were like as
How you doing, Tim?
you wish politicians would watch that today and actually take it to heart.
Yeah.
One of the things is, as someone as you guys both know, I'm very political. I follow politics. The filibuster, people say the filibuster a lot of times is not constitutional. It shouldn't be around. That is incorrect because it states in Article 1, which is where the Senate and the House are, they're allowed to make the rules. The Senate is allowed to have the filibuster. They are also allowed to suspend the filibuster for certain things. That is constitutionally allowed. There's, and the way the filibuster used to be when you saw Mr. Smith goes to Washington is not how the filibuster now is, because they've amended they've amended the rule to it. And they amended it for a lot of reasons. You had one time somebody, was wanting to filibuster something, and he just got up and just started talking about family. They didn't even bother talking about the subject issue. So, somewhere along the line, every now and again, our leadership has enough sense to maybe amend the rules. But you're right. The speech was really what it was what it seemed to happen was, with Miss Smith, he goes for the Senate and, wins. And now he's a junior senator for 6 years. And he's trying, he just wants to do something very simple, something very basic. And his elder senator, the senior senator of his own state, is trying to block him. And, he doesn't understand why. He's like, I'm trying to do something for the constituents of our people. Why are you fighting me? And, they tried to really, if you think about it, it's almost kind of similar to when you look at, what's that Christmas movie's in?
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. He gets demonized. He's being demonized for trying to do the right thing. I see a comparison there when you see Jimmy Stewart in both those areas. And yeah, his speech was impassionate. And, I loved how they did the whole thing with the audio. We are going through a filibuster. This is the most, they were going through how important it was. I miss movies that actually told the message the right way.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing I liked about that was the scene where he starts punching reporters because they wrote badly about him, and then the senators make fun of him, and he wants to punch the senators, but they sit him down and tell him
that's not how you do it.
No, no, no.
Which is ironic because let's remember in our early Senates and House of Representatives, they used to beat each other with canes.
Yes, especially Andrew Jackson.
Yes.
Yes.
You knew who I was talking about.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I remember that.
They used to beat each other.
They did.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, great.
All right.
Okay, where did
So, what was your overall? What did you think overall about the movie and how it worked out at the end? I mean, the way it ended was he's exhausted, he's passed out. I mean, almost certainly passed out, and it's his elder statesman senator who comes clean, and then the movie pretty much ends after that. Kind of gives you maybe a little bit of an open ending. Or do you think that was a complete ending? What do you two think?
I think it was kind of complete in his own way, but I could see why it'd be open ended too. I could see either way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyways, I should move on to Gone with the Wind.
That's between you two. I hate that movie.
Well, tomorrow is another day. It does have some good dialogue in it.
So, Gone with the Wind, it was originally a novel that was published in 1936, and
By a woman.
Dave.
Margaret Mitchell. Yes, she wrote that one.
Bought the movie rights for $50,000, and so it was like the longest casting. Casting took 2 years because they really wanted to get Clark Gable and Vivien Leigh together, and so and the author of she wanted Groucho Marx, which I don't know how that would have worked.
No, that would have gone very bad.
And it might have actually happened because at first Clark Gable didn't want to play Butler.
Yes.
So like Selznick lobbied the Hayes office to allow because in the end of the book he knew that was going to be an issue, so like he lobbied the Hayes office to allow Gable to say it.
Oh yes.
They won that. The movie costs about.
I do like the fact that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you exactly. I do like the fact that for all the people bitching about this movie now in 2020, 2021, seem to forget that the book was written by a woman and the very first Academy Award to go to a Black person. Also, a woman was what movie? What movie? Gone with the Wind, maybe?
That would be Haiti McDaniel.
Yes.
Exactly.
She was, and here's the thing: she normally would not have been allowed in the Academy building.
Nope.
Because she was going to win this award, they allowed it, but she still had to sit in the back of the ceremony to watch. Yeah. Yeah, so still Hollywood was still racist back then, basically.
It was.
I mean, they still are.
They still are.
But yeah, so it costs $3.85 million to make, and it made $390 million. Talk about
over 100%.
About a return investment. You know, and it was on top of that, it was nominated for 3 Oscars and won 10. So like when I talked about the other movies, The Wizard of Oz and Mrs. Smith Goes to Washington, they won. Wizard of Oz won Best Music, Best Original for Over the Rainbow by Judy Garland, and won an honorary Academy Juvenile Award for the role. So there was that was for that. For Mr. Smith, it won Best Writing Original Story, and everything else went to Gone with the Wind. Everything else went to Gone with the Wind.
You have to give it credit. I mean, I personally don't like the movie.
Sure.
But I can respect its place in history and its significance. I don't have to enjoy it to understand it had a significant role. Just like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, just like Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you guys, here's why I didn't like Gone with the Wind. I really couldn't stand Scarlett.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't. Everything about her and her Southern accent just seemed, and this is from someone who's from the Midwest and has a lot of kin who are Midwestern Southerners. It seemed so over the top. It almost seemed fake.
Well, can I say something about that one? So it was fake.
Go ahead.
So it was fake. Vivian Lee, in case you guys didn't know, is actually English. So they had to teach her to talk with a Southern accent. So that's why she sounds a little bit over the top. She's not technically Southern. So of course it sounds over the top. So yes, I didn't like her either though. So yes, I can understand that.
No, but I mean, Clark Gable could do a Southern accent. Like I said, I have a Midwestern Southern accent, which sometimes goes a little, Southern depending on one. It's why when I always find it funny when I hear people on my side, the conservative side, be like when they say Latino, like, oh, now you're going to do that? It's like, you fucking idiots. You really don't know how that works? It's like, I've known plenty of people of a certain ethnicity or certain culture. I mean, let's be honest. Park the car. I've known New Yorkers who say that. I mean, our accents are dialogues. So, but even though we move from certain places, there are certain words where our accents reconnect to.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's why when I hear people say, I can say Latino, but you'll hear, actual people who grew up, knowing Hispanic and knowing that Latino, and they're like, "Oh, you're pandering." No, they're not. They're saying it naturally.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
I don't like that shit.
Okay.
But it's interesting how you had 3 movies come out. You brought up a good point though, Jack. 3 movies came out in that same year, and they all won Oscars.
Mm-hmm. And there's one more little detail I wanted to add about all 3 of them. They were so popular that 50 years later, in 1989, when they created the National Film Registry, and they had to pick like the first 25 films to put in there. All 3 of these movies were part of that first entry. That year, 50 years later.
I'm kind of assuming Citizen Kane was also in there.
Citizen Kane was too. Hold on.
Well, I don't have. You brought it up. What were the first 25 in the film registry? Now you got me curious.
Oh, now I got to Google it.
Your fault. This is because after this, then Alicia gets to talk about her movies.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done, but let me go ahead and look for that.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. I know about.
Okay.
The archive. Okay, go.
I got him. Best Years of Our Lives, 1946. Casablanca, 1942. Citizen Kane, 1941. So you were right. The Crowd, 1928. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying About the Love Bomb, in 1964. The General, 1927. Gone with the Wind, 1939. Wraiths of Wrath, 1940. High Noon, 1952. Intolerance, 1916. The Learning Tree, 1969. The Maltese Falcon, 1941. Mr.
I
Smith goes.
still have not seen that movie.
Okay. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939. Modern Times, 1936. Nanook in the North, 1922. On the Waterfront, 1954. The Searchers, 1956. Singing
I
in the
love that
Rain,
movie.
1952. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937. Some Like It Hot, 1959. Star Wars, 1977. Sunrise, 1927. Sunset Boulevard, 1950. Vertigo, 1958.
Yes.
And The Wizard of Oz, 1939. There you go.
So Wizard of Oz was number 25.
How did we not bring up when we were talking to Alfred Hitchcock that he got his first movie in the archives was Vertigo? How did we miss that?
I mean, I don't know.
Nah, I'm just fucking with you. No, that's a great level of movies. Yes, PCAT. Yes, I know. I need to see the Maltese Falcon. Trust me, it is a movie that. Look, when I'm done here with these folks, I'm gonna go see if one of the fucking services I have has it. The only reason I never have seen it is it wasn't either available or I didn't know about it. You know, kind of is what it is. All right, Madame.
All right. So the first movie I'm going to discuss. So we all know it's almost Christmas season, and the first one is going to be Miracle on 34th Street from 1947 with Natalie Wood. So yeah, this one there was actually two other adaptations made of this movie based off of this film. So there was certain bits that were redone in the cinema, and there's also some TV series that have referenced this movie many, many times, like The Simpsons have done it, Family Guy has done it. There's been a lot of references to this particular movie. And believe it or not, the one that plays Chris or Santa in this one, he actually gained 30 pounds to play the part of that character, believe it or not.
Now, I would so want to play Santa and just get all big so I can ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you, Jack? So, do you guys know how many mailbags are carried into the courtroom when they have that court scene?
I did at one time, but now that you said that, I did actually know, but I completely have forgotten since then. Sorry.
So good thing I have this information. It was 21 mailbags that they brought into the.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, 21 mailbags are brought into that room. So that's my little bit of trivia about the Miracle on 34th Street. So the next one is going to be To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay. I'm going to be honest. I have not ever seen or read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay. Gotcha.
I did a scene once where I recreated that.
I read the book and I also saw the movie.
I did see the movie.
I think it was, here's why though. It was, we were given a choice of certain books to what we wanted to do. And To Kill a Mockingbird was one. And I did mine. I decided to do One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Ah, okay.
I mean, you can justify that.
Fair enough. So, okay, so To Kill a Mockingbird was made in 1960. Let me see. Let me double check my notes to be sure. I think it was 1962. Yes, 1962. 1962 is when To Kill a Mockingbird was made. So To Kill a Mockingbird, that courthouse is well known. It has been in many other things.
I still want to talk about this courthouse one day.
So I'm going to borrow some of Jack's notes for that one. So the thing is, with the courthouse, it appeared in other things. Before it was known as the Courthouse Square because of this movie. And it appeared later on in Back to the Future. It appeared in Gremlins. So it appeared in other movies before this one. But like I said, it was because of that, it was known as Courthouse Square. because of this particular movie. Then it faded away for a little
That's
while, and
why
then it came
I
back.
watched Gremlins as part of my Christmas tradition the other day.
Yep. But
And you
yeah,
can see it, yeah.
definitely if you pause at just the right moment, yes. So Atticus, the main character, is actually based on the author Harper Lee's own father, who was an attorney. Sadly, he died in the process of that movie being filmed. But because he made such an impact on her life, and seeing Gregory Peck, who plays this character, he reminded her so much of her late father. She actually gave him a pocket watch of her late father's to say, "Oh, you remind me of my dad. Here's something that reminds me of him, so I'm going to give it to you as a memento," kind of thing.
Oh, God, did Gregory Peck ever get an Oscar?
I think he may have.
Well,
If he didn't,
we'll have to look that up later. I don't want to, but I'm just saying Gregory Peck was such an amazing actor. I mean, come on.
yes.
Nobody
exactly.
did Ahab better than him.
Agreed.
I'm sorry. I know Patrick Stewart
He-
tried.
He has-
Stewart tried, but Gregory Peck, nobody's doing Ahab better than him.
Mhm.
He's won 6 Oscars.
Okay. Good.
Probably well deserved.
So the character of Dill, who is basically the best friend of Scout and Finch, the two kids, basically he was based on Truman Capote, who was a childhood friend, believe it or not, of Harper Lee's at one point. And let's see. Yeah. So there's actually a museum that's dedicated where the courthouse is. It became a museum that's dedicated to the book, the movie, and Harper Lee and the people that made that movie. So that basically that courthouse is still standing. And there's a museum that's related to that. And believe it or not, the main characters, the one that he's defending, Tom, James Earl Jones actually tried out for that role. Unfortunately, he did not win that role, but yes. He actually tried out.
How the fuck is that even possible? James Earl Jones. You might as well. The only person who I would say is just slightly below James Earl Jones is Morgan Freeman.
True.
Hey,
True.
those two could read the fucking phone book. They could get paid to read lines and people cut them together. Just saying.
And this movie is actually the film debut for Robert Duvall. So in case you ever want to know where Robert Duvall.
Way.
So yes, that is his film debut. Okay, my next movie will be Ben-Hur, a classic from what year did I put
Charlton Heston.
Yes. These next two are going to be Charlton Heston ones. One is going to be Ben-Hur. The next one will be The Ten Commandments. So Ben-Hur is from 1959. It's the only Hollywood film to be approved by the Vatican themselves in the category of religion.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't even know we needed approval from the Vatican.
I guess so.
I'm Catholic, and I'm Baptized Catholic.
Fair enough. But yeah, that's the only one that's ever made the Vatican-approved film list in the category of religion. The chariot race that's in that film actually required 15,000 extras, and it was on a set of 18 acres, and it cost $4 million to shoot and took 10 weeks to shoot that scene. There was 40 scripts that were commissioned over a period of 6 years to create this movie. 500 journalists visited the set during production. Audrey Hepburn, the well-known actress, actually visited the set during the chariot race, believe it or not. She's not in the scene, but she was actually watching it being filmed during that scene. And the only Best Picture with the hyphen in it. So there's a lot of Best Picture movies that have won that award. This is the only movie that has ever gotten it with the hyphen in its name. So that's the only one that stands out for this movie. It's got the only one with that one.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Yep. And my next one, it will be the Ten Commandments. That one was made in 1956. So 3 years.
I'm sorry, Alicia. I got to real quick. I got to go back to Mel Brooks. What? I have these 15 crack shit. And I'm sorry. I had to go there.
You're fine. You're fine.
You know we all Mel Brooks.
Yes.
All right, so let's go into Charles Heston's Ten Commandments. Actually, what I thought was really interesting is at that time in Hollywood, when you look at it, making a movie about Christianity was not considered what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's considered a stigma. You can't portray any Christian in a good light.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some reason, and I'm going to be honest, this is the way I think. You guys can tell me I'm full of shit. They view Christianity with white people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the way I see it. Ironically, considering the fact that, you saw, I'm sure you guys saw that whole thing about Seth Rogen and Sarah Silverman, those two little fuckers. And they're all like saying we really pissed off a bunch of white supremacists. It's like, because they made a show about Santa Claus being a white man. Even though the one real Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, guess where he was, what would be modern today?
Greece.
Close. Turkey.
That's right. Turkey. That's right.
Turkey. But close enough.
Mm-hmm.
He was Turkish, or what we would call modern day Turkish. So that's what I hate about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, please continue. I went on a rant there.
You're fine. So the Ten Commandments, there was actually 14,000 extras used in that particular movie. And there was 15,000 animals used in that movie.
Alicia, where did they get all the animals from? A zoo or multiple zoos? I'm just curious if you know that.
I'm not sure where they got them all from. I really don't know, but if they did, they had to get them from a bunch of zoos. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So Charlton Heston's son plays young baby Moses in that scene where he plays baby Moses. So he's about 3 months old at that time. So yes, young baby Moses is played by Charlton Heston's own son, Fraser, who later became a director in his own right. And there's a rumor that the voice of God in that movie is Charlton Heston. No, it's not. It is not Charlton Heston. Even though he claimed he had done it, it was just basically some random person that Cecil B. DeMille said, I like his voice. I'll make him the voice. So that person technically has never been credited, but he is the one that did it. It wasn't Cecil B. DeMille, and it wasn't Charlton Heston. It wasn't either one of them, even though there's been rumors that it was them. Yeah. So let's see. So it's an uncredited movie debut of this guy, Robert Vowles, who was a spearman Hebrew at the Golden Calf. And believe it or not, the person that talked for Fred Flintstone from the Flintstone television show, he actually plays a Sikh. He's actually one of these Egyptian Sikhs kind of things in that one. Now, the script, as you know, is probably very, very massive. It had 308 pages with 70 speaking parts in that. And they said there was 9 different. And so Charlton Heston, as we all know, he has different beards in this movie and everything like that. He wore 9 different ones in this particular movie.
Damn. It's a lot of blue.
Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of storyboards used in this movie. So there was actually 12 storyboard sketches that were used for this movie. So they went into a lot of detail into making this one. So yeah. And the final movie I have is The Miracle Worker with Anne Bancroft and Patty Duke. That one is from 1962 as well.
You know what I love about Patty Duke is not just the Patty Duke show, but where she did Helen Keller.
Exactly.
That was good.
It was.
Helen Keller was an amazing movie, and I saw that movie after I saw the Patty Duke show on Nick at Night. That's one of the things that it's one of the things that I said to my wife one time. We were dating, and she said something, and I said, "You're a regular Donna Reed." And my wife's like, "You know who Donna Reed is?" I'm like, yeah. I mean, Nick at Night was, when I was a kid, was actually the most fun thing. I actually couldn't give a shit about Nickelodeon. I wanted to watch Nick at Night.
I was in both. I watched all the way through.
Well, you can't do that on television and Double Dare and things like that. Fine, but I wanted to see Mr. Ed. I wanted to see Donna Reed, Dennis the Menace. Patty Duke show. My Three Sons, I didn't really like, but hey, what are you gonna?
What about Lassie? Was Lassie in that group too?
Oh yes, of course. Well, actually, here's a killer for you. If you don't know, the original first series, not the movie, because I know there's a movie about Lassie. The first series that started was actually not called Lassie. It was called Jeff's Collie.
Yes. Yeah. We just recently watched it.
You knew that? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Give me a virtual high. Give me a virtual high five here. You knew that was Jeff's Collie. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a very, very good YouTube channel called Pop Arena, and they do these things called knickknacks, and his goal is to go through every show that ever aired on Nickelodeon and tell like a deep history of it. And he did that with Lassie. And that was the episode. Like I liked it so much, like I told her about it and we talked about it.
And we both watched it about at the same time. So yes.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Finish up. Sorry. Well,
no, you're fine. So
sorry. No, that came off wrong. I mean,
no, that's fine. Because the thing is with Patty Duke,
continue.
No, that's cool because the thing is with Patty Duke, when I first saw her in this movie, I actually thought she was Helen Keller. And I know it wasn't in my notes or anything, but I do remember my mom telling me that Helen Keller herself chose Patty Duke to play that role, to play herself in that movie. And so that before she died.
I did not know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Helen Keller chose her personally to play that particular character.
I remember reading because it was required reading when I was in school about Helen Keller and, blind and deaf at that time and how I remember that book. And then I remember this was one of those times where in my school, we read the book and then we watched the movie. Okay. And that was with Patty. And of course I recognized Patty Duke from the Patty Duke show. Mm-hmm. But it was just, I thought it was amazing. Sorry, I know we got off track here, but yeah. I mean Patty Duke really had a lot more talent than I think people gave her credit for early on.
She did. So Mark Twain was the first one to call Annie Sullivan the miracle worker, who was a friend of Helen Keller's also. And Ingrid Bergman, our good friend from Casablanca, she claimed she was offered the role of Annie Sullivan at one point. So I think it would have been slightly different if they put it with her because There's something spunky about Anne Bancroft, especially that fight scene at the breakfast table. Oh, that scene. Oh, I remember seeing that scene as a kid. I'm thinking, because I was really thinking they're going to kill each other. At 4 years of age, seeing this movie,
remember, they hired her to help with her child, and then when she would just wail and flail, they were like, come on. And she's like, for lack of a better term, you didn't hire me to do what you want. You hired me to take care of your kid. And then she did those things. WATR, water. And then, Helen Keller started to learn. It was a great movie. I mean, Patty Duke really had a beautiful. And that wasn't even the movie you were talking about. You were talking about 10 Commandments.
No, I was talking about both of them. I was talking about the 10 Commandments and the Miracle. I was all over the place.
It really was, one of those fantastic movies. That just, even as a child, I was like, holy shit, she's blind, she's deaf, she can't hear, she can't see. And as you watch the movie and you see it progress, and here's the thing, the way she was being, the way the instructor was being aggressive, and the parents were being, kind of hands off. Yeah, that's where it was like, yeah, that would have been my family. My family would have been all hands on. Anybody hands off, you can get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Makes total sense. But yep, that was my 4 movies.
Well, those were good movie choices. So let's let everybody know what we are going to go with next week. What do you guys want to go with? You got a theme? You got a title?
Do we want to go over some more movies, Jack, or do we want to go over to our next topic?
Well, we still got a lot to go.
We do.
I
still want to talk about Citizen Kane and stuff like that.
Yes, and Dr. Zhivago. Yes, I still have a couple.
Okay, I got a great idea. Let's go with this. Let's go with what we think are the masterpieces of film history. We'll all pick, a few movies each, masterpieces of film history. I have a feeling we'd all probably come to the same area. So let's get together. Hold on a second. I'm going to make it easy on us. Let's all pick what we think are masterpieces from a certain decade. Not now. We don't have to do it now. Let's just go that way so we can, make sure we don't collide with each other. Does that make sense? Sound good?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Makes total sense.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Because I think we probably have a lot of masterpieces we could really talk about. Films that really define us. Let's just give each other a decade. There's 3 of us, so we pick 3 decades. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming in. Thank you, Jack Beers. Thank you, Alicia. God, I miss you guys. I know it's been a spell, but we got back. We're together. Peace and long life, everyone.
Bye.